I've learnt that it is possible to make a decent film with only 2 hours filming and a small editing slot. I've also learned that which shots to use when a reaction shot is needed.
It opened me up to a lot of things. I got to try out a lot of new things like directing, which I haven't done before. All I've really done is acting and cinematography, so I'd say directing was especially interesting to oversee the production. Sound editing was a bit of a challenge, I think, trying to find the proper sounds for one of our films.
I suppose I particularly have learned a lot about how much planning, how much work has to go into getting a good production. It's just been such a huge learning curve, and I've really enjoyed the whole experience.
It was like a reality check, really. You know, you can't spend ages and ages because you are restricted for time in real life. So, but this time, you know, I managed to get more involved with like sound and acting, which I've rarely done before.
Like, because I hadn't done cinematography properly before, I never directed before. Script writing I sort of knew because that's pretty obvious, but acting a little bit, how shooting actually works. I like cinematography to an extent, but it's really hard work. Sound is just rubbish. No one likes doing sound.
My major headache over the course is the fact that a lot of the cameras had something wrong with them. So like some of them had a broken headphone port, or there was one we used which was barely picking up any sound at all. Because we had our shoot directly after our script meeting, there were a couple of instances where the changes that were suggested were pretty major, which were difficult to implement in the time that we had.
For me, mainly the main negative point is the viewing on the Fridays. It was like we were holding back in a way. I know I did on some points, because either we weren't sure what we were going to say was the right thing, and I think also because the other groups were there, we didn't want to, like, openly, you know, properly criticise them.
I haven't really had any problems with it. Some people say there's not enough time, but I think, you know, that's the idea. You're supposed to make really short films in short time frames.
Some of the time management, I was late for a couple of pieces of filming, so there were points where we were strict for time as well, also with editing, so I guess maybe a bit more planning.
I didn't really like the script meetings, but that was mainly because sometimes the tutors didn't read the script, so we had to like re-pitch our ideas. We spent half of the time that we had pitching our idea. Paranoia, although it's the first one we did, and because we cut on action and stuff in it, and I think it was really good.
Even though we were remaking a scene, I think Pi really stood out for me. I think it was more demanding of me because I had to use my facial expressions and body language a lot more.
Apart from Viral, probably one of my favourite films was Horseplay. I personally really sort of liked the editing that was used in that, and I thought the idea was a really nice idea as well. It's a shame he didn't maybe execute it a bit better.
Rivalry. I like the whole idea of the competition between the more competent professional against the amateurish freelance worker, and I kind of like the whole idea of the story, and I like the way it was edited and the way it was shot in a kind of documentary style.
But I liked Rivalry. Mainly because I was directing, so it's sort of biased. I think we did a lot of it on the fly, rather than, because that's before they started drilling, you've got to plan everything. So we didn't have like storyboards or a set script.